So I've started the recording. And Hello everyone. Welcome to the September 12th Women in Product Toastmasters Club meeting. I'm your Sergeant in Arms, Shruti, and today our theme is favorite PM content resources. Product management is one of the disciplines that doesn't stem from a standardized curriculum crafted and perfected over hundreds of years in colleges and in universities. Thanks to many talented product managers and entrepreneurs who have done it right or failed right, we have many resources and blogs available for other product managers to learn from and adapt. One of the favorite author and product person that I follow is Ken Norton, and I follow his blog, Bring the Donuts, for some pearls of product wisdom. So let's get on with this. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to our president, Erica, to take it forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Rudy. I am actually filling in for Erica today because she has a family function she's going to. So sorry, you don't get Erica. You get stuck with your VPE, Lori. But it's great to see you all. I'm going to blast through Erica's updates and you get all the same content she normally would provide. You just get me keep doing it. So today, as always, we have a star-studded lineup for everybody. But before we jump into our scheduled programming, I'd like to take a minute to review some of our club business, describe our meeting, as well as welcome our guests and new members. So let's knock the not so fun stuff out of the way so we can get on to this awesome topic I'm excited to hear about. Club business. Club dues are due. Rosie has probably already contacted you to renew your membership, but if she hasn't, please reach out and make sure that we do that. I think we got most of everybody, but just help us all herd the cats and take care of your own business. Second is the Women in Product Toastmasters mentoring program. If you're interested in being a mentor to our new members and helping them onboard and figure out all the Toastmasteries things, we would love to have you do that. Feel free to reach out to Erica, myself, or anybody on the leadership team, and we can point you in the right direction. Third, Svetlana has a call out to get some help wanted. Who wants to help Svetlana put together our networking happy hour? She would love to have you jump on board, help us put it together, help us bring our club members together in a less formal way and get to know one another. So if you're interested in helping out in a club happy hour, reach out to Svetlana and she would love to have you get an insight to the leadership team as well. And then lastly, today after our meeting, we're going to do a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, whether it's about the club, memberships, pathways, whatever it may be about, we're here to help you. So I'll be sticking around as well as other leadership members after today's call to answer any of those questions that you have. So feel free to join us. All right, that wasn't so bad. Back to the fun stuff. Today, you're going to hear from 3 club members, and they're going to be doing prepared speeches for us. Then after that, they will we'll have various rounds of feedback from our different functionary roles, which will help us all keep improving the different aspects of our speaking skills. Each of them will explain their roles in just a minute, but you can also find the explanation of each of their roles on the last page of the agenda that I think Jennifer just put in the chat. Following those prepared speeches, we will have a section of impromptu speaking, which is called table topics, where the table topics master can call on anyone, even guests. So if you're a guest, we encourage you to participate and have some fun with us. There's no risk in this club. All your answers are safe. We're a fun group, so don't be scared. If you do not want to participate in table topics, you can also let the table topics master, which I also think is Jennifer today, know that you do not want to participate, and then she won't call on you. But I do encourage you to jump in the fun and give it a shot. Today we have 4 guests joining us. I think we have 4 guests joining you. This is why I asked everybody to rename themselves so I can easily find you, maybe. I will go down the list, and if you're here, feel free to jump in and quickly introduce yourself. Maybe tell us your name, your current role, or your aspiring role, and what you're hoping to get out of this club. So is Allison on the call? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay. Let's see. I actually think I only see one guest in the chat. So Akila, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, hi all. Hi, I'm Akila Matthews. I'm based over here in London, so it's quite it's evening for us over here. I've just popped in. I came across a Facebook page. I think it was just yesterday, the day before. So I thought I'll have a look at what we discuss over here. So I'm a lead business analyst in the insurance industry, Lloyd's of London, if you've heard about it in London. And I've been pretty much here for the last 15 years or so. So hello, everyone.
Great, welcome. I also see that we have Rosalie. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. Hi, I'm Rosalie Shaw. I'm based out of San Francisco. I'm currently Senior Director of Product over at a company called Sugar CRM. And I found out about this group through Women in Product conference and joined the Facebook page and was interested to learn more about what you guys are all doing here in Toastmasters. I think I know a little bit about it, and so I'm hoping I can just improve my overall presentation and speaking skills through this group.
Amazing. Welcome to the group, and I hope you have a good time today. And it looks like our next guest is Sharisha.
Hey, I don't think I'm a brand new guest. I've been in, I think I joined, this is my third session, I guess. Hopefully my membership will go through. I just did the payment. So hi, I'm Sharisha. I'm based in Seattle, Washington. I work for T-Mobile, working as a product manager right now. And I'm aspiring to become a senior product manager or trying out if I can, get into interviewing with the FANG companies. And me joining, even I found out about this group via Women in Product conference. I liked the 2 sessions that I attended, so I'm aspiring to become a member of this elite group.
Wonderful. And we're glad to have you back. Can't wait to have you join us as a full club member.
Yep.
And it looks like in the chat, we actually have a couple others. So I'm going to say Preeti. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, that's right. I'm joining in as a guest. I had difficulty changing my name in the Zoom chat. Sorry about that. I also have a similar story. I went to Women in Product conference and knew about the Facebook page and got interested in the Toastmaster and want to see what you guys are doing here. I'm Preeti. I'm Senior Product Manager working for Zillow based out of Southern California. I'm mostly trying to, improve my presentation skills, presenting my ideas more coherently. That's what I'm looking forward of this club. And I'm excited to be here.
Amazing. Welcome. And I know that you can do those things here. So you'll hear some of our speakers today be able to do that. I was one of those people as well that couldn't put together my thoughts, and I've gotten a lot better at it. So awesome to have you join us. All right, I think that wraps up the guests that we have, but I'll put a call out there. If there's any other guests on the call that want to introduce themselves, feel free to jump in and introduce yourself. All right, I will take the long, awkward silence as we got all the guests. Okay, moving forward. We also have some new club members. So as you heard, some people just submitted their payment. So we'll have more new club members to introduce next meeting. But for now, we do have 5 new members joining us. So I want to give them a quick shout out and officially welcome them. So Sharisha, welcome to the club. We're excited to have you and can't wait to hear your first icebreaker speech. Same with, let's see, Yusenia, welcome as well. And Sumia, Paisley, as well as Megana, I think is our last one. So welcome everybody. We're glad to have you join our club. I'm going to put on my VPE hat. You'll receive an email from me after this, and I'll be giving you all the stuff about your icebreaker speech and get you on the schedule and whatnot. I'm sure Erica herself will also reach out to you, but if you guys have any questions as you're on board, feel free to join after meetings or shoot us emails. We're more than happy to help you guys along the way as you do things. So with that, we're now to the star of our show. So I am going to introduce our Toastmaster today, which is Amy Kirkland. Amy is a longtime club member. She's a product management veteran. I actually learned product management from her. She is an amazing dog mom to 2 dogs, Rufus and Ginger. And I also am lucky enough to call her one of my actual friends as well outside of this club. So take it away, Amy.
Thank you, Lori. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, it's my privilege to welcome you today. As Shruti introduced, our theme today is your favorite PM content or resource. My personal favorite resource is my close coworkers, the ones that I collaborate with on a daily basis. I love being able to talk through problems and brainstorm with others. Back in the days of working in the office before one of my favorite coworkers, Lori, we left to pursue other opportunities. We used to spend half our day standing at the windows in our office, moving around sticky notes and adding new ones. Today, I use digital whiteboard tools to do similar things. Being able to collaborate and solve problems together is one of the primary reasons I love being a product manager. You'll be hearing more about favorite PM content and resources that we all use throughout today's session. For our meeting today, actually, Lori already did this, but I'm going to do it again. So the structure of our meeting is broken up into 3 parts. So we have the prepared speeches. There's 3 speeches today. Kirsten and Richoo are presenting their icebreaker speeches. The icebreaker speech is the first speech that our members present. It is an introduction of themselves to the club and is 4 to 6 minutes long. Rosie will be presenting her Pathways speech. Pathways are specialized learning paths designed to help us grow our communication and leadership skills. Pathway speeches are 5 to 7 minutes long. So the second part of our meeting is the table topics round, where we will practice impromptu speaking. Jennifer will be leading this round. No one knows what the table topics questions are in advance, but to keep us on our toes, or in order to keep us on our toes. Table topic speeches are 1 to 2 minutes. Jennifer will call on someone to answer each question. Guests that wish to opt out of answering can send a message to Jennifer ahead of time to let her know. She will be assisted by our vote counter, Rajeshi. And the third part of our meeting today will be the evaluation round, in which the prepared speeches will be evaluated by our General Evaluator and her team. Today, our General Evaluator is Svetlana Bizyan, and she will be supported by Minal Patel, Lori Edwards, and Sarah, who is filling in for Alicia. They will be their speech evaluators, and evaluations are from 2 to 3 minutes. Jyoti will be our awe counter. The awe counter will keep track of the ums and ahs that each person uses today. The purpose is to help us be more aware of our use of these types of filler words. Sheena will be our timer. The timer will keep track of the prepared speeches as well as the table topics to see if they fit within the targeted time frames. She will raise the green background at the minimum time mark, the yellow background at the midway mark, and the red background at the maximum time mark. Amula is our grammarian today, and she will be keeping track of grammar and your word usage and will introduce the word of the day. Amula, will you please go ahead and introduce the word of the day now?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is tangible. The definition I chose is capable of being precisely identified or realized by the mind, otherwise known as clear and definite, real. A few examples of using the word are, my favorite product management book gives tangible pieces of advice that I use every day in my career. The online course on interviewing provided me with tangible results since I received 3 job offers. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will give the Grammarian Report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mula. Now we are ready to begin our prepared speech portion. This is one of my favorite parts of the meeting because it's a great opportunity to learn something new from our club members. Our first speaker today is Kirsten. Kirsten is an experienced product leader and new member to the Women Product Toastmasters Club. She will be presenting her icebreaker speech titled Tech Optimist Futurist. Kirsten, I invite you to take the stage.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, members and guests. Hopefully you can hear me and hopefully you can see slides. Can I get a thumbs up if that's the case? Awesome. Okay. So I am delighted to do a quick intro to myself, Kirsten Archer, and also hopefully cover today why I see myself as a tech optimist futurist and what I'd love to connect with the members here on going forwards. Okay, so who am I? Well, I was born in Australia, which hopefully some people here have actually heard of on the other side of the world. It's very far away for quite a lot of us. Wonderful place, recommend it for your holidays. And the first tangible product that I can actually think of from my own memory is actually the first PC that I had, which is a VIC-20, Commodore VIC-20, which actually dates me hugely, I'm sure. But also tells you a lot about how I came into tech and how I came into product. I particularly love this, this little ad here, which is actually what I saw before we purchased it. And I love the fact that in 2018, somebody actually contacted William Shatner of Star Trek, who was advertising it, to ask for a refund. And I do love his little comment back to them. It tells you something about how long that product actually lasted and how great it was. But yes, it inspired me to actually get into product. And I would say very much I've had an entrepreneurial product journey, both building and leading teams, a couple of startups in Australia, and then I moved to London in 2000. So that's London in the United Kingdom in Europe, so like literally the other side of the world, as you do. And I've spent the past couple of decades there building tech products, so B2B products, B2C products, B2B2C products across many different companies and about 21 countries. So quite a few years building safer financial products, so mortgages, investments, and things like that at UBS and Barclays. Also making it easier to shop through Amazon in Europe for a couple of years using machine learning technologies. And then more recently, my own startup building AR and VR games just because it's fun and hopefully inspiring people through those games. Oh, and I also keep African pygmy hedgehogs, as you do. So this is my little baby Darwinia, named after someone who I see as an idol, which is Charles Darwin. So it tells you something about how important science and technology have been to me in life. So why did I get into product? Okay. Wanting to try and make the world a better place, I see technology and technology products as a key way to make that happen. And I describe myself as a tech optimist futurist. So I believe that tech products, partly because of how incredibly wonderful and easy they are to distribute around the world and how much they can scale so easily, are the key way in which we can actually solve a lot of the problems that we face as human beings all around the world. And that they're a key way we can actually improve daily life for everybody all around the world. I love that the fact that tech products are accessible and can be inclusive. I'm also an advocate for diversity in product and for, in terms of tools, and inclusive design principles. So in terms of diversity, which I'm expecting and hoping that everyone here knows is very important to product, I think diverse product teams just naturally empathize better with mass market audiences and create better products. And in terms of inclusive design, I actually think that by catering for the more extreme needs, and you can actually create a better mass market product through technology. So simple things like captioning on videos actually make it easier whether or not you can hear. If you're in a situation where you can't hear, so let's say you're commuting, you can actually say, oh, right, okay, I can still engage with this and be part of the experience with everybody. So they're super important tools and principles to me. So why this group? Probably like a lot of people here, I would like to learn from and with other great people in product. And these are some of the topics that I would love to connect with you on if you're interested in talking about them more. So futurism, tech products, diversity in product, inclusive design, and of course, African pygmy hedgehogs. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten, for such a lovely speech. Our next speaker is Richoo. Richoo is a product manager in the cloud and infra security space. She thrives on learning patterns across businesses and markets that were disruptors but failed. Her favorite part of every weekend is hiking with a group of girlfriends. This is a weekly effort to rejuvenate mental and physical health. On weekdays, she starts her day with an authentic filter coffee, Southern Indian style, and a hug from her husband who brings Northern Indian warmth. Richoo will be presenting her icebreaker speech titled Equanimity, Staying in the Present. Richoo, the stage is yours.
I invite you all to sit still for just 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. And just watch your breath go in and out. As you watch your breath, try to notice your thoughts without interrupting them, without trying to solve for them or feel them. Oh, what a beautiful day. The weather looks so good. After this meeting, I have to send out those work emails that I've been putting off since Friday. Did my husband do the laundry yesterday? I might have to remind him again. Ugh. All right, you can open your eyes. Now, what did we notice? Every thought brings an emotion or a feeling. It's rather tough to separate from them. And while there are too many thoughts that are not pertinent to this moment, that you've chosen to put yourself in, which is the Toastmasters meeting. So what makes it hard to stay in the present? Experience this moment as you're living it. Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, also welcome to the guests. When I swooped in as a lovely present into the happy lives of my parents back in 1989, I was 9.25 pounds and a 23-inch tall baby who did fit the hospital crib. For those who can't comprehend that size, I was a very fat and a very tall baby. The doctor who assisted the delivery called me a heavyweight champ among the newborns. Ever since, I've always been aware of myself in a room. Most times I stood out without intending to. Almost always it was my height. I was at least 5 or 6 inches taller than most of my classmates. Richoo is a unique name, not just for India, just anywhere globally. So I was there with teachers and other parents kind of bemused, looking at me going, her name does not draw any link to a religion or a caste. Who is she? My hair was short. I kept a sharp pixie cut for the first 21 years of my life, which was rather strange for an average Indian girl. So for a child who grew up standing out from her friends, frequently assumed to be 3 years older than she was, she wanted to live up to those expectations and the attention. My parents, both leaders in their own right, my father a chief marketing officer and my mother an entrepreneur and CEO, had their best advice. Learn the art of navigating attention. So I imagine being given a platform to stand on and try to use it to live up to that attention. I used my voice for social causes as a community volunteer. I played basketball. I joined karate, earned my black belt. I was in school elocutions and debates. So with all these experiences came a newfound wisdom for a middle grader, a heightened sense of awareness of myself, of my actions and consequences, of my influence on my younger sister. I learned to always assess risks, which added to feeling conscious at all times. Growing up, we moved to a new city in India every 3 years due to the nature of my father's work and his promotions. So every time we moved, here I was, an alien in a new city. People spoke a different language, ate and dressed differently, and yet again, I stood out. I was always aware of being an outsider, always learning and building my catalog of perspectives, as I call it today, and in turn, understanding how these life events were adding to my uniqueness. Every day that passed, I realized I was going to stand out more than I did yesterday. A conspicuous shift in my life was at the age of 22, when I moved to the US to pursue my master's and a career in tech. This moment redefined living in the present. I was inundated with different stimuli ranging from personal responsibilities to professional duties and social demands that commanded my interest and time. And with that came a variety of emotions that made it tougher to stay in the present. This time, I was on a quest to learn the art of navigating my attention. I did not stop looking for tangible resources. Sometimes conversations with trusted friends or professors, a good therapist, sometimes my parents helped. Other times, I watched and rewatched Oprah's Super Soul Sundays. I read books to optimize and structure a sustainable life. Other times, I found Maya Angelou or Elaine Aron's Strength in Vulnerability closer to my true self. And I finally tried meditation. Vipassana meditation is what I tried, and there I learned of equanimity. Equanimity is the art of being present in this very moment effortlessly. It's the art of neither resisting your thoughts or feelings nor succumbing to it. Practicing it for the last 2 years is what introduced me to my inner patterns, my true conscience, and opened a new path to healthier relationships with myself and others, which I truly believe is the strongest factor for any new leader. Today, I actively allow myself to stay in the present and experience it as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Richoo. What a great speech. Next, we have Rosie. Rosie is an aspiring product manager who currently works as a project manager in the child safety tech space. Outside of work, she runs the #IAM project, a scholarship and mentoring network she co-founded to support women of color in STEM. Her speech is titled The Next Run. Rosie, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Amy, for the introduction. Hi, all. It's good to be here. Today, I'd like to share with you some of my favorite PM resources I've been using to prepare myself for one day when I too become a product manager. I've used multiple resources from books to blogs to mentors because I think it's incredibly important to begin preparing for that day or for that journey before even holding that title. It's similar to how I prepare myself for runs and for the day when I become a marathon runner, a full marathon runner to be precise. You know, having a goal in mind and saying, I want to run a marathon is great. But if I'm not strategic in how I prepare, if I'm not consistent in my trainings, or if I'm not challenging myself often enough in my runs, then I won't be as strong of a runner on the day when I run my first official full marathon. Similarly, I bring those aspects of how I prepare for running to how I'm preparing myself for the day when I become a product manager. When it comes to running, the first thing I do is I identify what the course will look like and then what kind of gear I'll need to have, and then lay out a tangible plan for how I'll prepare myself mentally and physically for that run. In order to prepare myself for product management, I needed to first figure out what is product management, and then determine if it was something that I even wanted to go into, and then identify, the hard and soft skills that I would need to be successful in that role. So as any millennial that grew up in the age of the internet, I turned to my trusty friend, Google. From there, I stumbled upon hashtags such as hashtag product management, hashtag aspiring product manager, and so forth on both Twitter and Facebook. Those hashtags led me through a rabbit hole of multiple articles, courses, and people that shed light into what I could expect as a product manager. And it was through one of those hashtags that I came across one of my favorite product management resources. It's called APM Map. It's a directory geared towards aspiring product managers because it contains links to PM internships, interview preparation materials, and resources for developing skills that are going to be needed as a product manager. And best of all, it also has direct connections to people that are currently in the field that are open to being mentors for others. And through this resource, among others, I came to be able to realize that I was able to put together a tangible plan as to how I would navigate my career from sales operations to now project management, and hopefully one day product management as well. And then I identified what kind of skills I needed to develop. And so for me, it was through this research that I was doing that I realized that I need to work more on my delegation, leadership, and road mapping skills before I'm ever a product manager. As I previously mentioned, another component to how I'm preparing to become a full marathon runner is gear. This means identifying if I'm going to be in need of new shoes, ensuring that my current fanny pack that I use for all my runs is still in good shape, and so forth. The gear I use ensures that I'll have a successful and comfortable run, that if I ever find myself in need of anything during my runs, that I'll be able to find it in that fanny pack or in any of my gear that I wear. And this is similar to how I use this is similar to how I use people as another resource that I find to be very valuable. And I know thinking of people as resources might seem awkward, but I mean this in the best possible way. Your community and your network surrounding you are some of the best resources that you can use to make sure that you're well prepared for that next run or for that next PM role. And when it comes to mentors, it means identifying people that are going to be able to guide you when you stumble, are going to be able to be there to bounce ideas off of, or who are going to coach you in skills that you might need to develop to be that successful product manager. For me personally, having a mentor this year was significant as I navigated the job hunting process. My mentor constantly reminded me to not take my foot off the gas pedal. She often encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. And most importantly, she showed me how to navigate my career. And in relation to mentors, I know sometimes having access to them is quite difficult. And so one of my other favorite resources to use in product management is LinkedIn. This is where I have found so many people that are in that product management space. My favorite people to follow are those that share their accomplishments and challenges that they face in product, also the ones that are constantly sharing job postings for roles in product, and those who are simply sharing any and all tips, recommendations, resources related to product management. Some of my favorite to follow are Deborah Liu, who is the founder of Women in Product. Her articles are always shedding light on new areas of product that I'm unfamiliar with. Additionally, I'd recommend following Felix Watson Jr. on LinkedIn because of the immense amount of resources and tips he often shares for fellow aspiring and new product managers. Lastly, when it comes to my runs, once I've learned what the course will entail, strategized my training plan, and gathered all my gear, I had to practice. For running, that means that I'm taking more 10Ks and half marathons on. As for product, that means working on skills in my current role that will help me not only just complete the work that I have now, but also help me strengthen my skill set for when I become a product manager. So for me, I've identified that I currently need to work more on my SQL skills in order to understand the data and make data-centric decisions. Additionally, I've started to continue to work on my leadership and road mapping skills by leading cross-functional team efforts and ensuring that projects stay on course. Later, as I progress through those skills, I'm hoping to tackle more product-focused skills. For example, learning how to lead user testing, delegation, and so forth. Overall, I'd like to encourage you all to find the resources that will help you make you a stronger and more successful product manager. Thank you, and I hope some of the resources I mentioned will be useful to you all.
Thank you, Rosie, for another great speech. As many of the Toastmasters of the days before me, I forgot to give 1 minute between speeches. So we'll go ahead and do that now. I know I'm a little late to the game there, but we'll go ahead and do that now anyway. So 1 minute for the evaluators to take notes. And while we're doing this, actually, 1 minute of silence. Sometimes we ask if there's any questions for the speakers. So if anyone has any questions for Rosie, they can ask now.
Rosie, would you mind repeating Felix's last name of the resource that you mentioned?
Yeah, his name is, let me find it. I believe it's Watson. Yeah, Felix Watson Jr. Yeah.
Thank you. And I can't wait. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I think that's another question. I was going to ask, do you also mind sharing that APM resource that you mentioned? I think it would be helpful to some people I know.
Yeah, let me double check, but I believe the website is apmmap.co.
All right, thanks.
Great, thank you, Rosie. Okay. So the next portion of our meeting is the table topics section. Jennifer Ginsburg will be our host for this section. So Jennifer, if you'd like to take the stage now.
Yeah, hey everyone, happy Sunday. So I'm excited to be our table topics master for the day. And as we mentioned earlier in the morning, at the beginning of this meeting, the table topics is really just an ad hoc time period where folks get practice on answering questions in the moment. So here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna ask the question and I'm gonna go ahead and select a person to answer. And that person is given 2 minutes to answer and our timer will help us keep on track. So let's get started. In light of our theme of the day, these are all gonna be topics and questions that are related to our favorite product manager content and resources. So for the first question here, as we've heard even from Rosie here just now, people draw inspiration from all different places. It could be different industries, it could be podcasts, it could be blogs, people, books, so on and so forth. What is your favorite product manager resource and why? So what is your favorite product manager resource and why? And for that question, I'd like to ask Marguerite. Would you care to answer that for us, Marguerite?
Sure. Thank you, Jennifer. So my favorite product management resource, I have a lot of them that I like, but I think I default to going back to books. I love Marty Kagan's books, and I also recently purchased, I'm looking at it, Cracking the PM Career, which is by the same woman who wrote Cracking the PM Interview, because it's really nicely organized as a reference book. So if I'm trying to improve my product requirements documents. There's a chapter on that. Or for, I just started a new job. There's a section on first 90 days of the PM role. So I love, being able to, I love digital resources, but I really, my favorites are definitely being able to like page through and make notes in a good old fashioned book. And if you have any questions about recommendations, I have a bunch of PM books next to me and I'm happy to share.
I love
Thank
it. A fellow paper lover. I know it may not be popular, but I'm the same way. I love to have the book and then I can re-reference it back and forth, make notes. So I've read that book as well. I second that. Thank you so much, Marguerite. All right, so also one thing I forgot to mention to you guys. So as part of table topics, one of the things that we do in this club is we have a vote counter, and our vote counter is Rajishi. So I'm gonna ask that you guys, listen to everybody's responses, and then at the end we'll tally up votes, and then Rajishi is gonna help provide an answer as far as who was our lucky or hardworking and articulate table topics responded. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we move through, folks. All right, so the second question, if you think about the different aspects of product management, there's the marketing piece, there's the user-centered design and research, there's maybe even the pricing components. How do you do an add-on versus a core product launch? There's the competitive analysis pieces that comes along with product management. And so I'd ask, what is your favorite aspect to product management? And what is your go-to inspiration that you go to when you feel a little bit stuck? So again, the question is, what is your favorite aspect to product management and your go-to inspiration when you might feel stuck? And so for that, I would like to ask, I hope I'm saying your name right, Somaya Petro?
It's pronounced Soumya.
Oh, Somya, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you for that question. The part of product management that I like the most is the discovery and wireframing. It almost feels like art to me because it's taking an abstract concept and making it a tangible entity that someone can actually use. And one of my go-to resources for that is Teresa Torres, her blog. She writes extensively on customer discovery and provides tangible frameworks one can use to go about that process and loopholes to avoid, not loopholes, mistakes to avoid in that journey and uncover real insights that will lead to better solutions. I really like her blog. Other resources on UX design, I think wireframing and UX design are very related in terms of the usability and converting ideas into solutions. One of my go-to resources is just to scroll Dribble, or I think there's a similar design portfolio app. I can't remember its name, but Dribble is a huge source of design inspiration, and I love to scroll it when I'm not sure how to present information in a certain way that would be usable and friendly to the user. Yeah, thank you.
I love it. And I love that. I do think there is that something special about taking something that's an idea and actually making it more tangible in that discovery phase. And to your point, drawing inspiration from others and blogs helps you get unstuck. And I love the resource there that you quoted. So thank you. All right, so moving on to our third question here. We've all had exposure to many different things on the internet. In fact, Rosie herself articulated a resource, APM map, that has been really helpful for her. Conferences and classes are often great ways to get out of the office and learn about the discipline. Can you share one of your favorite conferences or classes that you've taken and why? So I'm asking, can you share one of your favorite conferences or classes that you've taken and why? So for that, I'd like to ask Preeti, if you would care to answer that question.
Sure. One of my favorite conferences was an AWS conference that I usually go. Most of the product managers, at least I should say in Zillow, most of the product management managers go to product managers conferences. They don't go to AWS conferences. But I took a chance and I went 2 years back, and after that I'm going every year to those conferences. What it does is it gives a perspective of the engineers and how to communicate with the engineers. We do know the user's problem. We do know how to, we have excellent ideas that come to us that we can solve for the users, but sometimes how effectively we can do it, how we can influence the engineer's design. That perspective comes from, I get that perspective from those AWS conferences. I come to understand their challenges and how they are excited to solve some of their issues. And I find it very helpful.
Yeah, I love that answer. I mean, I've been to a few AWS conferences myself, and I always find it very insightful on how technology, like how to communicate with technology folks and bridge that gap, that communication gap, which is something as a skill for a product manager, I think is really important. So I love that. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move us on to another question here. It's often been noted that Hollywood and fiction gives insight to new product inspiration. And so, for example, I remember as a young kid watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. And if you remember, there was the medical staff that had a touch screen. It looked like a clear clipboard where they would view patient labs, they'd look at charts. What ideas have you seen in fiction or on TV, in movies, that you think would be a really cool idea in real life? So what idea have you seen that you think could be a real cool idea in real life? For that question, I'd like to call on Ashley. Ashley Harrison, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for that question, Jennifer. And as a fellow Trekkie, I'm gonna keep it going here.
All right.
One thing that was very fascinating out of the show in total has been these visual screens that are very thin. And I feel like we're starting to see a lot more of that product be prevalent in the market. For a while, there was like a holograph version of that in terms of they would use kind of air particles, and it would be in this machine that allowed everyone to see an image displayed. And of course, it's not an actual physical screen. Unfortunately, that didn't get very far because we're not there yet and we're not ready for it. However, I've also noticed that in the movie Hunger Games, I believe it was in the part 1 of the 3-part series, but there was one moment where they're in the conference room and Haymitch, one of the characters, is scribbling on a screen. And that's actually technology we have now. On the Apple iPad, you can pretty much scribble down whatever you would like and it's there. And it's nice to see that advancement of that product, but it's also very cool to see how it's continually influential to how we think and how we are going to be using these products based off of what we're seeing in Hollywood. But overall, I'm looking at these things and I'm seeing them already existing, but I haven't kept my ear to the ground in terms of what else is new, in terms of what I've seen out of the media and out of Hollywood.
Well, thanks for that answer. And I love the Hunger Games reference and the Star Trek reference, things of my own heart. Thank you, Ashley. Okay, two more questions. So the next question is, being a product manager requires being organized. I myself am guilty of being kind of scatterbrained. I have 1,000 Post-it notes. And I think about the times where, as a product manager, you need to get focused on timelines, maybe making sure that your roadmap is well structured, the teams are making progress against it, and all those day-to-day activities that you're getting stretched kind of all over the place in terms of customer meetups, creating presentations, so on and so forth. So what is your favorite product manager resource in helping you to stay organized? So for that question, I'd like to ask Monique, what is your go-to resource in helping you to stay organized?
All right, thank you, Jennifer. So I consider myself to be an organized person, but when it comes to being a product manager, sometimes it just doesn't feel good enough. There's so much going on. But I have two resources that I use now that I feel like help me keep a little bit organized. So one is Trello. So I try to kind of do maybe a Kanban version of product management for myself, where I just, anytime someone has an idea or I know I have something new I need to do, I just like throw it on Trello, and then I move it over to like, this is my goal for today that I need to like absolutely handle. And then I have my backlog of this is what I have for the rest of the week. So I feel like that is helping me stay organized. I also have a notebook, which I don't do a great job of going back to check my notes. So that helps me keep organized, the Trello board. And the second thing that I did recently is just created a Google Sheet in almost like a sprint. I have like the subject is each sprint, and then I try to organize things based on different teams that I collaborate with. So I have my own product things that I need to do. I keep track of what my developers are working on, marketing team, designers. And to me, that helps like get organized of this is what I have to do for this upcoming sprint and the sprint after. So I kind of create my own little personal roadmap, which I feel helps me keep organized. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Monique. I love that, taking the different agile flavors and aspects and applying it into your own personal life. So I've done the same in other situations. So great tips, love it. All right, last but not least here, you know, one of the things that Rosie also mentioned was mentors. They can be a really great source for a product manager. Sometimes these people are formally designated. There may be mentorship programs in your company, and sometimes they may be informal, like the relationship between Amy and Lori, where there are mentors that are just, you know, ad hoc co-workers in an informal setting. They could be your boss, or they could just be that coworker. So if you're thinking through meaningful people in your life, who is your mentor resource, and what is the best advice that they've ever given you? So again, who is that meaningful mentor person in your life, and what's the best advice that they've given you? And I'd like to ask Sharisha, one of our newer members / guests, if you could answer that for us. Sharisha?
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. That's a very good question. So along the way, I had many mentors, personally as well as in a professional life. But if you ask me to give me one name, undeniably, I have to mention my husband. He's also works in the same company, and from the beginning of the career, he's been my mentor. And he knows my drawbacks, right? He knows, like, where my weaknesses are. So the greatest advice he always gave me was, I think you sell yourself, very less, because he knows, like, more than what I am, and he knows, like, what I'm worth. But for some reason, I always had this low confidence, and I always doubt myself. I have imposter syndrome. So he helped me. First of all, he always used to tell me, like, you don't know what you're worth, and always used to support me whatever new things that I start. I'm not in my personal life. I also am a dancer. I sketch. I also do choreography. So there are other things which I do, which also require me to have that confidence, right? So without him, I wouldn't have been a PM today. And also without him, I wouldn't have done other things in my life, which put me on several occasions on stage. So I think I cannot say. I mean, if you give me icebreaker, I can do a full icebreaker speech on how much I learned from him. Actually, luckily, he just stepped into senior product management role as well. So while looking at me, while mentoring me, he got interested into product management. So now he's a senior product manager, which is an interesting path for him. He was an architect and now he's moving into product as well. So I have this constant mentor all the time, 24/7. So I feel very lucky, and he's also tangible, right? No, I can always go and ask him a full-time mentor I have at home. So thank you for that
amazing.
question.
Yeah, no, I love your answer. It's an amazing answer. You know, there are so many people that would love to be as lucky as you to have a mentor, a friend, an honest mirror at home to help you in your own growth. And thank you for that answer. I really appreciate it. It's great. All right, so I'm gonna, that concludes our table topics session. I just do want to remind you guys, if you could please direct message Rajeshi as far as who do you believe. This was a really tough one this week. I think everybody had phenomenal answers, but if you were to vote for one, the people that spoke today I called on was Marguerite, and I'm going to butcher your name again, I'm so sorry, Somaya, Preeti, Ashley, Monique, and Sharisha. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to the Toastmaster, Amy. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was a fantastic group of table topics. Thanks everyone for participating. It's so tough to think on your feet, but an important skill to have. So now I would like to move on to our third and final portion of our meeting today. And that will be our evaluation round, and Svetlana will be our General Evaluator today. And Svetlana, I'll invite you to take the floor.
Thank you so much, Amy. So greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The purpose of the General Evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting. I'm taking notes on what does and does not happen, and I'm evaluating participants and looking for good examples of preparation, organization, and of course, presentation and performance of all our duties. Later, I will give my report after the other members of my team deliver theirs. So today, for our general evaluations, I invite our first speech evaluator to provide some feedback on the first prepared speech from Kirsten. So Minal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. And thank you, Kirsten, for sharing with us your journey as a product manager. It was definitely insightful. In terms of evaluating the speech, I thought you had good audience engagement. In the beginning, you asked everyone if they could see your slides and participate in doing that. You also added a personal touch in your speech, talking about things you enjoy. Your comfort levels showed that you were very comfortable through your eye contact that you maintained throughout your speech. It did not look like you were reading your speech or the slides. You outlined your content in the beginning, which was a really good intro into the rest of the speech. It's hard to make gestures over a video call, but I think you made up for it through your facial expressions during your speech. And you had a good use of bullet points in answering all the topics that you discussed today. The one thing that I would say that would be good to work on would be ending with a stronger conclusion. I feel like you ended really quickly. I missed some of it. And then also adding a little bit of vocal variety, maybe in the beginning and at the end, just to have a stronger hook. And again, the conclusion. And then a couple points of challenge would be, I know the time is limited, but if you could add more detail and depth to some of the points, because I felt like I wanted to know more. And then also for another time, if you want to try a storytelling style for a speech, that would be a really good way to test out a new speech giving skill. Overall, I thought the content was tangible and using presentation slides further improved the clarity. And congrats on your first good start to your icebreaker speech. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Minal. Our second evaluator today is Lori, and she is evaluating the second speech from Richoo. So Lori, take it away.
Thank you, Svetlana. Yes, Richoo, what a great speech. Oh my gosh, I was pulled in like instantly from the moment you started speaking, and I just wanted to hear more about whatever you were going to tell me. I was doing it with you. I love that you had us close our eyes and kind of take a pause. It really just drew me into whatever you were going to say. And as you started throwing more information at that much more impactful. You had great eye contact as well as confidence. Your confidence was just beaming and infectious. So great job, especially being your icebreaker speech as well. I felt like I really got to know more about you. And I honestly can't wait to hear even more about you in your next speech. So overall, you did a great job. A couple of things that you may want to work on for your next speech is one of those might be hand gestures. So I think you were standing during your speech, but I'm not sure. But bringing in your hands, and which are hard in Zoom, as Manal just said, and making sure that they're actually in the frame will just help you drive points a little bit more or add more variety to your actual speech. And then to challenge yourself, also making pauses. So you gave us a lot of great information, and adding just a short pause after some of that information will just give your audience time to process that information, making it even more impactful and making it so we can actually fully understand it. But overall, awesome first speech. I can't wait to hear another one. I can't wait to learn more about you and about your product management skills. So great job, and good luck on the next one. I can't wait to hear it. All right, back to you, Svetlana.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. One moment. Great. So finally, our third evaluator today is Sarah, who stepped in like the champ that she is to evaluate the third speech from Rosie. So Sarah, take it away.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Rosie. What a fantastic speech. I really enjoyed it. And you told me on the side to look at some key areas for tone, storytelling, and descriptive language. So I want to tell you what I heard, what I saw, and what I felt. So what I heard is that immediately you were able to integrate the theme right into your speech. I appreciated the fact that you took this comparison of marathons, preparing for marathons, and you were able to apply it to your experience in learning more about product management. Your storytelling is very good. You led us through your learning experience from the beginning of hashtags, how you found out, how you were learning more about things, where you find your mentors, and then what you plan on improving as far as your product management skills. You provided also some tangible resources that the audience can go and do further research on. What I saw is that you were able to really connect with your audience. I glanced at a few of our participants to watch what they were doing in their videos, and they were tuned in. You really want that. So excellent point on that. You have a fantastic smile, Rosie, and you have very good contact with the camera. So even though I saw that you were reading some of your notes, it wasn't distracting whatsoever. You do have an amazing skill for drawing people into your world. And I've noticed that not just in this speech, but in previous video communications. And then what I felt your passion for product immediately, and that you want to become the best professional that you can be. I saw that, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to get there. You will get there. Just give yourself a little bit more time on the product management role, but you will get there. Some suggestions for improvement. I'd like to hear a little bit more descriptive language. So you had an excellent opportunity with the marathon example. You could have talked about maybe an experience you had where you were coming around the bend of a road and you felt the sun burning your skin, and in front of you, you saw an actual roadblock. How would you hit that hill? Bring us into that experience so that we can experience it with you. And then you can relate that also to how you're learning on product management. I would also like to hear you add just a little bit more tone to your speech. So try taking some pauses and try also asking some questions of us as an audience. This will provide a way where you can get some greater vocal variety in general. And finally, there is no need to thank us at the end. We should be thanking you. So I would just say simply stop and return the stage back to the product manager. I'm sorry, to the Toastmaster. So in conclusion, Rosie, I am honored to have evaluated your speech. I am so excited about your public speaking opportunities, and I can't wait for your next run. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Sarah. As always, stepping up to the plate and hitting it out of the ballpark. I will now call on Amulia for our Grammarian Report. And Amulia, maybe you can say just a few words about what that role entails.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. And so as grammarian, like I said, it's my responsibility to pay attention to all of the grammar that is being used throughout today's meeting, and note any improper uses, and also note how many times we were able to integrate the word of the day throughout our speaking today. And I was able to count 9 mentions of the word of the day, which was tangible. So I'm so happy that we were able to really integrate that into so much of the speaking that we were able to do today. And also shout out to Rosie for mentioning it twice in her speech. So that was fantastic. Our grammatical usage was overall done very well. I will make one note, Sharisha. I thought your speech was fantastic during table topics. Very much touching. You did mention a phrase along the lines of sell yourself short, but I think you might have said something like sell yourself less, or something that wasn't exactly along those lines. And so that is just one note that I made. Some quotes that I found particularly striking. Richoo, I loved your speech. You mentioned learning the art of navigating attention, which I thought really struck out to me and was so unique and really grabbed my attention. Another important quote from Rosie was, really being able to visualize a rabbit hole of navigating through multiple courses and resources. That really brought me in. And so great job, everyone, on all of your speeches today. It was really fantastic. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Amelia. So next up, we have Jyoti delivering her counter report. And if you can say a few words about the counter role.
Sure. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. And today my role is to count the ahs and ums and any other filler words that anyone has used. The goal of this is to make us self-aware of the various filler words we have been using, work on them, improve our skills, and see tangible results. This is my first time as an counter. I try to capture as many as I can. So let's dive into the report. Shruti, you have used 1 Lori, 1 4 ums, 1 and 2 sos. Kristen, 4 ahs, 1 well, 3 so. Rosie, 1 2 3 ands, 1 so, and 1 you know. Amy, 6 ahs. Richoo, I did not find anything in your speech. Jennifer, 2 ahs, 1 4 sos. Margaret, 5 ahs, 5 ums. Soumya, 3 ahs and 3 ums. Preeti, 6 ahs. Ashley, I did not find anything in your speech. Sheena, 1 Sharisha, 4 sos, 1 right, and 2 you knows. That's the end of the report. But thoroughly enjoyed all the speeches. Well done, everyone.
Thank you so much. Great. So finally, we have Sheena giving her timer report. So Sheena, over to you.
Hi, everyone. As a timer, I kept track of table topic speakers, formal speeches, and also the evaluations. And this was my first time as timer. So we'll start with the prepared speeches. Kirsten, you came in at 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Richoo, you came in at 5 minutes, 58 seconds. Rosie, you came in at 6 minutes, 59 seconds. And then moving to table topics, Marguerite, you came in at 1 minute, 8 seconds. Somia, you came in at 1 minute, 27 seconds. Preeti, you came in at 1 minute, 10 seconds. Ashley, you came in at 1 minute, 30 seconds. Monique, you came in at 1 minute, 50 seconds. And Sharisha, you came in at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And then moving on to evaluations, Manal, who was our first evaluator, came in at 1 minute, 54 seconds. Lori, our second evaluator, came in at 1 minute, 53 seconds. And Sarah, our third evaluator, came in at 3 minutes, 20 seconds. So for table topics, everyone came in under the proper time. And for our speeches, everyone came in under the correct time. And then for evaluations, Evaluator 1 and Evaluator 2 came in a little under the 2 minute mark, and Sarah came in a little over the 3 minute mark. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. So now it is my turn to give the General Evaluators report. I will be reading some notes because I took quite a few. So first, I just want to start by saying we started on time, which is always really nice to do. And we have been actually making really good time with the whole meeting, which is great because nobody likes a meeting that just goes on and on. So with that, Amy, great job as the Toastmaster. I believe this was your first time doing it? I can't hear you.
Yes, yes, it was.
Great, yes.
Thank you.
So you kicked it off, excellent, good energy. The one thing I will remind you as well as everybody else, especially all our new members, so there are some things that lots of people do. So sort of repeat sort of, they're not mistakes, but they're just slight sort of shifts from the best practice that we had been advised when we first were developing as a club. So one of the things that we generally try to do as Toastmasters, especially in the beginning of the meeting, is to hand over the description of the functionary roles to the functionaries. And so one of the ways to do that is basically early on to introduce the General Evaluator, and then the General Evaluator allows each member of their team to explain what their function is. And part of the reason for that, what makes that a good practice, is that it gives those functionaries a little more airtime and brings everyone in from the meeting to understand what all the roles are, because there are so many, and kind of gets people thinking and understanding and maybe a little more attentive to what all the speakers are doing and what they themselves as new members will get to do, will have the opportunity to pick from doing. So from there, I'm going to move into some notes for the prepared speeches. I mean, today, like all three speeches were pretty excellent. Kirsten, your use of PowerPoint was great. I thought that the content for your icebreaker speech was perfect. It was equal parts about you and brought us into who you are, how wonderful you are, how interesting you are, but also then translated into your professional background, which was equally inspiring and interesting, and especially giving us that breakdown of like different topics on which you would love to connect with people about was really, I thought, innovative and useful, very straightforward. And I would say for most of us, just a really great way to distill what topics we should
continue speaking with you about. So great job there. Another common sort of oversight that a lot of Toastmasters have been making, and it's really tough. And I think I suspect I know exactly why it's so tough to do. So after prepared speeches, we have been trying to give the whole group a minute to write down their feedback, especially the evaluators who are designated to give evaluations. But that is also a moment of silence, right? Of sort of recommended silence for the meeting. And as we all know, we like to fill silences. So just another reminder to try to overcome that instinct and give folks the minute to jot down their thoughts, which, by the way, for new members, again, you are more than welcome to just send direct messages to folks about their speeches or get their contact details and write them, because obviously the more feedback, the better. And the other thing we just started doing as of the last couple of meetings is during that minute of feedback, we encourage everyone to think about if they have a follow-on question or two, where we want to sort of contain it to the minute or two between speeches, but you're more than welcome to follow up and ask questions. Richoo, the heavyweight champ, love the speech. Rosie, excellent parallel. I love a good parallel across sports and product. So good job there. And at that point, the Toastmaster, Amy, great job circling back and addressing the 1 minute break and allowing questions at that point. So table topics, Jen, you always have such a lovely and natural way of engaging with your audience. It always puts me at ease, as I am a pretty tightly wound and anxious person. And so I love whenever you come onto the screen, your lovely smile. And I think for table topics management, that is super key, because obviously we try to sort of involve our guests and our newer members to give them some airtime and a chance to sort of practice that impromptu speaking. And I think having that sort of soothing energy is very, very helpful. So there also just a note for the Sergeant at Arms who today had to leave early, but anyone who takes on the Sergeant at Arms role eventually, when our club first began, that was my role, and I had to, so I learned a lot of lessons through the hard knocks. It's a surprisingly challenging role, and it is the person who is also spotlighting all of us when we're speaking. And there are some tips and tricks for that. And what we really like to do, especially in table topics, is have the table topics master, the timer, and this person responding sort of spotlighted. So that didn't happen for, I think, 1 or 2 people. Another thing I was just made aware of that we should all just know is that if you don't have your camera on, we can't spotlight you. So we love to see all our members. So if you can, please have your camera on for these meetings. And finally, evaluations. I know that I'm taking a while, but finally, evaluations. So great job to everyone, including just a shout out to Lori and Sarah, who took up the roles last minute. Sometimes we have people backing out. We really try to get our members to sort of let us know a little bit ahead of time if they do need to switch roles for a meeting. It's totally okay. But sometimes it happens pretty last minute. And today, Lori and Sarah took up the mantles. Also great, like the delivery of feedback was really good. I was just nodding vigorously to all the feedback because I had a lot of the same thoughts and instincts. And most of all, I want to thank you all 3 evaluators for the very tangible advice for improvement. And so with that, I'm going to close it up and return the mantle to you, Amy, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana. And thanks for all the great evaluations and speeches that we had today. I loved learning about all of our favorite content and resources that we use. And with that, I'd like to invite Lori, our club vice president of education, to take the stage for announcements.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So typical announcements, we are going to do a Q&A, as I mentioned earlier, after today's meeting. So if you have any questions, feel free to stick around and ask them. I'm happy to answer them, as well as other leadership members. I do have the roles for next week as well. I just put the Google Doc in the chat. You will notice that there's 2 openings. So we have 2 open speaking slots, which is like unheard of in recent times. So if you want to get ahead of the game, I would love for you to volunteer and take on one of those speaking slots for next week. If nobody volunteers, then the leadership team will be scrambling to figure out what do we do with our time. So if anybody wants to jump in and do their icebreaker speech next week or another speech, we would love to have that. Just let me know and we'll get you whatever you need and support you in that. Also, we are at the end of a competition that Toastmasters runs through the month of September to get members signed up for pathways. So we are so close to having every member sign up for a pathway. There's only 2 members that do not have pathways picked yet. So if you have questions about pathways, again, happy to answer them. Feel free to just ping me, let me know. Happy to walk through them, set up time, whatever you need to help you be successful and choose a pathway that works best for you. Let's see. And the last thing that I have is, as you all know, I am the person that selects what role people do in meetings. So the best way to tell me or to select a role is to tell me what role you want. I try to give everybody basically whatever they ask for. Of course, sometimes if 2 people want to do the same role, I can't have you do it in the same meeting, but I can, get one of you to do it this meeting and following up after that. We try to get everybody in this club to do every role at least once. So also, if I notice you're signing up for the same role over and over again, I'm probably going to push you outside of your comfort zone and have you take on another role to try it out. As we all know, it's a safe space. So even if you forget the 1-minute mark after a speech, like I think all of us Toastmasters have done, except for a couple, then that's okay. We're here to learn and help each other out. So that is all I have from the VPE role. And I think for Erica's stuff, I covered that too. So I think we're good to adjourn. We get some time back in our days. Amy, do you want me to just wrap us up and we can just adjourn here?
Can I?
Yep. Jennifer's got something. Perfect.
I thought I missed it because I was IMing. I'm terrible at IMing and listening at the same time. I'm like very terrible. But I feel like we're missing a readout as to who was our best table topics.
We did. Yes. Thank you, Jennifer, for reminding us.
Because they were so amazing. So,
yeah, we have our vote counter, Rajishi.
Yes, I was like, do I just start speaking? Like, or should I wait? So thanks, Jennifer. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. And yes, we did miss, and I'm Rajoshi, and thank you to all my fellow members and all the guests who have joined today's session. Awesome. It's like it was just mind-boggling listening through all these topics, all these details. It's like I just lost count of time, and the lovely speeches. So now, but obviously I was paying very close attention to the table topics. Awesome, Jennifer. All the topics were so it helped with the knowledge gain too on different aspects of how people are thinking on product management and the tools and resources that they are using. So we do have a tie. We do have both Soumya and Ashley with 3 votes. So congratulations to both of them. Awesome. Both having same number of votes when actually we have so many great speakers, then it's really awesome feeling. So, and then Margaret, Preeti, Monique, and Sharisha all have 1 vote. So everyone is a winner. Everyone did get a vote and everyone did awesome. Absolutely, we know that for sure. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the vote counter, and awesome session. Thank you all.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Richoo, for that vote counter report, and congratulations everyone, and great speeches again today. And with that, I think we are done. So I will end the recording and we will be adjourned.